Let's just get it out of the way right now. Somebody got a haircut. It was about damn time. That stuff was looking too moppish to me. Time to look good for WrestleMania season. You know what I mean? I was sitting there thinking about this actually for the past couple of weeks, but in particular the past couple of nights. I was really trying to figure out how will WrestleMania 30 end? Because all of us might have our own ideal scenario, or we might have an idea of where we think the WWE is going to go or should go. But it's not so simple. I think there are a lot of options that could play out here, and a lot of them don't involve Daniel Bryan leaving New Orleans come Sunday night at the end of WrestleMania 30 as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. I don't think they do. There are actually more options of where that wouldn't happen than what would. So what I wanted to do is throw out some of these different options that I've kind of laid out over the past couple of days and talk about them here a little bit, and then talk about some other stuff pertaining to the main event and something I feel that that main event needs to really effectively, strongly close out WrestleMania 30 and put it over the top as one of those special WrestleManias in history. Now, here are some of the options you can have with what happens on Sunday at WrestleMania 30. You have the Internet Whacking Cox option, which of course would be Daniel Bryan beating Triple H in their match. Bonus points, by the way, if it's done by submission via the yes lock and he gets Triple H to tap. And then, of course, Daniel Bryan triumphantly runs in to the main event and becomes the WWE World Heavyweight Champion by pinning Batista and or Orton. And I say and because imagine how many of you would be so excited if he beat both of them at the same time. That would be the Internet Whacking Cox option. That is an option. It looks very strongly that that could be the option come Sunday, but there are other options out there too. You've got the silly start and happy endings option, which would be Daniel Bryan and Triple H fighting to some type of no count out or double count out or double DQ, where they both end up getting put in that WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, and then Daniel Bryan still ends up winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, maybe by pinning Triple H at the end of the night. So it'd be kind of an awkward start, a silly start, but it would still produce the happy ending that everybody could spank off to. You've got the all that for nothing option, which would be Daniel Bryan beating Triple H, getting into the main event, getting into that WWE World Heavyweight Championship match, and then Orton finds a way to retain his WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Imagine that. It would really literally be like all of that for nothing. Nothing changed. It all stayed the same. After all of that, after all these months, after all this stuff, Orton's still the champ at the end of the night at WrestleMania 30. Can you imagine that? You've got the stick it in your pipe and smoke it option, which is, hey, they'll give you Daniel Bryan beating Triple H and getting into the main event, and then Batista wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which would also be, this was our plan all along, screw you, that's what we're going to do. That's an option. I don't know how viable of an option it is at this point, but I never ever put anything past Vincent K. McMahon. I promise you that much. If you think this isn't an option at this point in time, you're being perhaps a bit delusional. Doesn't mean that it'll happen, but don't eliminate it from your mind that this is still possibly an option that Batista walks out on Sunday night as the heel WWE World Heavyweight Champion. You've got the not this way option, which would be Daniel Bryan beating Triple H and earning Triple H's respect. And then Daniel Bryan goes on to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship with Triple H's help, either via Daniel Bryan turning heel and aligning himself with Triple H and the Authority, or Triple H turning babyface and aligning himself with Daniel Bryan. That sounds pretty stupid, doesn't it? That's pretty much how you'd sum up the finish to WrestleMania 17, but I bet a lot of you would still find a way to think this was great or this was awesome. But ultimately, you'd kind of be like, oh my God, he's the champion, but oh my God, not this way. No, anyway, but this way. And again, don't think that this isn't an option. It might seem remote, but stranger shit has happened. Seen WrestleMania 17. You've got the God Conquers All in favor of honor of New Orleans and WrestleMania 30 being at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome this upcoming Sunday. You could also call it maybe the Hurricane Hunter option, which would be Triple H beats Daniel Bryan 100% clean in the middle of the ring, and then Triple H, God himself, goes on to reign supreme and become the new WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? You've got it, the doing it the WWE way, which would be Triple H beating Daniel Bryan, and then Triple H goes on to the main event. Triple H instantly becomes the #1 heel in the building because he just beat everybody's hero, Daniel Bryan. Now Batista gets some type of a babyface pop. You've got 3 heels, 3 members of the Breakfast Club. Batista wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, which was Vince's plan from the very beginning. That would be the epitome of doing it the WWE way. You've got a whole new Evolution way, which would be Triple H beating Daniel Bryan and getting into that main event, and then Orton finding a way to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Oh my. Just think about some of those options for a second. And what I'm getting at this point is nothing is off the table, I don't feel, when it comes to the WWE. Anything is possible with this main event. And with so many people expecting a certain conclusion, which is Daniel Bryan beats Triple H, then wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, the WWE might swerve you. It might give you something that comes totally out of left field. Most people assumed that John Cena was going to beat The Rock at WrestleMania 28. It didn't happen. It was a legit surprise to a lot of people. Most people assumed that Cena was just going to win because Rock was a part-timer. It caught everybody, for the most part, by surprise. Don't be surprised if the WWE tries to go out there and prove to you, ultimately, that you don't work them, they work you, and that they will go one of these other directions just to sit there and kind of send that message, which Vince loves to do. He loves to play these games, and he loves to send these messages. And it would not surprise me at all if he's just using Daniel Bryan as a pawn to send a message to the fans and to a certain individual in particular. Now, one thing I will say, regardless of what ends up happening on Sunday at WrestleMania 30, one thing that I do feel could really help elevate that main event match, that WWE World Heavyweight Championship, over the top and make it one of the more memorable world title matches in WrestleMania history, is the inclusion of some type of big, shocking, awesome surprise. Bringing somebody in to really set it over the top. To really set it over the top. Now, I would fully expect at this point that if Triple H loses to Daniel Bryan, that Triple H would insert himself as a special guest referee or try and get involved in that match in some way. So I'm not throwing him in there as a surprise. I'd be stunned if it didn't happen, frankly. So it wouldn't be a surprise to me at all. The only surprise would be if he didn't do it. But here are some special surprises that I think could really set this over the edge. Most of them involving, ultimately, Daniel Bryan winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship at the end of the night. Now, you could sit there and go with Hulk Hogan coming out as the guest host of WrestleMania 30, being the one that WrestleMania was built around. This great ultimate passing of the torch. You could sit there and see him, standing up for Daniel Bryan, coming out as that guest host of WrestleMania 30 and being involved in the main event, and kind of have a really cool almost passing of the torch in a way of a Hulk Hogan to a Daniel Bryan. I don't ultimately expect that to happen, but it would get a tremendous reaction. There's no question about it. And how funny it would be to see somebody like Hulk Hogan helping Daniel Bryan take that next step and become a WrestleMania legend, if you will. Now, when we talk about surprise appearances, and you want to talk about somebody getting back at Triple H, getting back at the Authority, imagine if the glass shatters and here comes Stone Cold Steve Austin. He comes out and stuns everybody, and he reveals that he's wearing a ref shirt, and he's now the special guest referee, and he helps Daniel Bryan win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It would be a tremendous moment. It would be an awesome moment. It would be Austin, in a way, passing the torch to a Daniel Bryan. I don't think either one of those two options are very likely at this point, nor do I necessarily feel that they are the best calls. But I do think they were options if you were really trying to do something to set it over the top, to really put the icing on the cake, if you will, the cherry on the top, the sprinkles on the ice cream sundae, whatever. There are three options that I think really stand out to me the most. Number one would be bring back CM Punk. Now, I know he's gone. He may or may not appear. He may or may not ever come back. But just in a hypothetical sense, imagine if come the main event, all of a sudden CM Punk's music hits and CM Punk comes walking down the damn ramp and he helps Daniel Bryan win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And they kind of 10 years after it happened at WrestleMania 20, they have their Benoit Guerrero moment, and there's CM Punk and there's Daniel Bryan, and they hug and embrace, and Punk is raising Bryan's hand at the end of the night, and that's the end of the show. That would be incredible for a lot of you. But then you could have the WWE fuck with you in a way too. You could have CM Punk come back and screw over Daniel Bryan and cost him the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. What would you do then? You've got CM Punk back. Now CM Punk is heel. Him and Daniel Bryan are going to feud. Will you even care if Daniel Bryan doesn't get the title at this point? Would you be that pissed off? Would you be happy, so caught up in the fact that CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are going to feud and CM Punk's back? Oh my God, two of the best motherfucking wrestlers in the world. I don't even know if he'd care or not. Or then you got the other option. CM Punk comes back and he helps Daniel Bryan win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then as they're celebrating, CM Punk crotch shots him, low blows him, and turns heel on him. And CM Punk is standing strong at the end of the night. You would have gotten Daniel Bryan winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, beating Triple H before that. So in a lot of ways, it still would have been Daniel Bryan's night. And then you've got a returning CM Punk coming back. Oh my God. It would be one of those. It wouldn't be yes. It wouldn't be no. It would be maybe, maybe, maybe. Just imagine the reaction. The internet would implode. The internet would explode. It would be the epitome of the maybe movement. But there are two other names that I want to throw out there. Number one would be a real surprise. And it's just a shot out of deep, deep roving left field, mind you. But could you imagine, as this is going on, and Triple H is the special guest referee, and he's clearly in the tank for either an Orton and or Batista. Anybody but Daniel Bryan is his philosophy. And then all of a sudden, here we go. Here comes money. And you see Shane O'Mac come out for the first time in several years here at WrestleMania 30. And you could play it off as his dad, Vince McMahon, sent him out because he doesn't like what Triple H and Steph are doing. You're saving Vince's appearance maybe for the next night on Raw. But you get that great, tremendous return, that great, tremendous WrestleMania moment. And here's Shane McMahon to get back at his brother-in-law at the behest of his own dad. He gets involved. He's got a ref shirt on underneath after he takes Triple H out. And then Daniel Bryan wins the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and there's Shane McMahon raising his arms at the end of the night. It would be a memorable WrestleMania moment. And some of you might sit there and say for yourselves that Daniel Bryan beating Triple H and winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship is enough for you. That's gravy, and that's all you want. And that's fine. I'm just of the opinion that maybe this does need something a little bit more to set it apart from so many other things in the history of WrestleMania. And if you involve the right person in the right way at the right time, it can truly do that. But I think there's one person above all else that could really, truly set this over the top. That is the man that when we talk about a Taker, or we talk about a Shawn Michaels, or we talk about a Hulk Hogan, and we say, you know, who's the real WrestleMania, or you couldn't have had WrestleMania without Hogan, or this or that. There's no doubt that you couldn't have had WrestleMania without one man. You couldn't have the WWE today without one man. And that one man is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Now, I cannot express what it would represent and what it would mean at WrestleMania 30 with all the crap that the Authority, Triple H and Stephanie have been pulling on TV, and in particular involving Daniel Bryan, to where Vince comes back, you hear his music, there's no chance in hell. I guarantee you that crowd would initially pop tremendously. It might be the damn pop of the night. And then he comes down the ramp one more time at WrestleMania with his BMF walk. And you sit there and you're like, oh no, he's going to fuck over Daniel Bryan. He's going to fuck over Daniel Bryan. And then he turns on his son-in-law. And he helps Daniel Bryan win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, I know what some of you will say. Well, that'll turn it into a McMahon angle, and I understand that. You'll sit there and say, well, then the focus would be on Vince McMahon and not where it needed to be. Well, I'll tell you this much, and I promise you this much. To me, it would be one of those full circle things. At WrestleMania 1 in 1985, Hulk Hogan was the guy that was the face of the company. Could you imagine in 2014 at WrestleMania 30, Vince McMahon raising Daniel Bryan's arms and saying this guy, perhaps, is the face of the WWE. This is a Vince McMahon guy. This is a guy that is worthy of this title, this moment, this opportunity, and this spot. It would represent so many things. It would represent a change for the WWE, or represent a recognition of needing to go in a new and different direction. It would be a recognition by Vince McMahon that you could be a great star and you don't have to be 6'5", 280 pounds necessarily. Just imagine that for a moment. Vince McMahon helping Daniel Bryan become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, screwing over Stephanie, backstabbing Triple H, and raising Daniel Bryan's arm in victory at the end of the night. To me, Vince has to be involved in WrestleMania 30 in some way. It's his baby. It's his show. It's his creation. And I can't think of a better way for him to do that than to really put this moment over the top with Daniel Bryan winning via his help the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. What an outstanding moment it would be. But God, God winning it all would be awesome. God beating Daniel Bryan just so Batista winning the belt would be awesome. There's so many possibilities. There's so many levels of different awesome that you can have here at WrestleMania 30. I can't wait to see what they do with this show come Sunday night. I know what I would like to see, but I know also if I was in Vince in the WWE's position, what I might do. And what I might like to see and what I would do are two entirely different things, I promise you. And it's up for me to know and for you to figure out what those would be. Ugh.